Okay, so I always wanted to try something, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but let's try it, okay?
Let's do it. I'm down.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
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 Ugh.
What was that noise?
Did you just burp?
Next thing you know. No.
I was really expecting for it to work, you know? Like, I've tried it my entire life and it never works, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking try it again. One of these days, Michael Keaton's gonna, like, bust through my door like fucking the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That would be fucking great. As
Oh
long as
my
we're not
God.
doing Bloody Mary, we're fine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Night Court Narrative, by the way.
Hi, I'm Aqua.
I am Elvish. Today is officially the countdown. We are 6 days away from Halloween.
Oh my gosh, already?
Already. This year is absolutely flying by. Can you believe that?
Jeez, I'm almost about to be 30 already.
300. Sorry,
I
excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry,
I heard that. I heard that.
That was not ladylike of me. I am so sorry. This is Violet. Say hi.
Hi, Violet. Did we? Well, I guess we kind of did feed you. Did I feed you earlier? I think I feed her earlier.
We probably didn't feed her, but we have this candy here, so she'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She feeds off candy anyways. I just don't understand why I keep finding candy corn on the floor.
Are we sure it's candy corn?
It looks like candy corn.
It could be
Smells like
kitty
candy
pellets. Don't eat it.
Oh, gross.
Don't eat it.
Well, I just put it in like 3 like jack-o'-lanterns to serve to kids come Halloween, so.
Oh, let me know if one gets one. Anywho. Today we have Chopping Spree by Angela Sylvain. This is an incredibly short 100 and I think 15-page 80s inspired slasher.
It definitely had the neo synthwave vibe, in my opinion.
It did.
At the same time, it had the very retro vibe too, like, you know, boombox stereo and everything, and leg warmers. I thought of leg warmers the entire
time. In the entire book, even at the very end of the book, they have a playlist to which you can go listen to it while you're reading the book, and like it brought back a lot of memories. Like we have David Bowie, Bon Jovi, we have fucking
Duran.
Yeah, we have like a lot. So that really brought up some memories.
Having that alone, like not getting into the meaty contents of the book, haha, meaty.
LOL.
Just the whole music playlist alone is nice to have, because it makes me, like, whenever I do my writing stuff, I always have like a song that inspires the chapter or like a moment.
Yes.
For the most part. And now, like, I think maybe I should start incorporating that too. I always thought about it, but I was like, maybe it's not really much of a kosher thing, because I don't read as much, or read, whatever, tomato, potato. But you know, you read a lot more than I do, and now I'm getting more into it. I'm actually enjoying it, and so, well, the listening, reading part, same thing. But yeah, so it makes me want to do it too. So it makes me want to go back to some of my old stuff and be like, all right, which one of these had Bon Jovi in it, and then go from there.
And you know, I'm always a person, so we say this every episode, so I know you're like, we get it, shut up. Okay, but I am typically the reader.
This is for the new people, guys. This is for the new people who may have just stumbled up upon ourselves, upon us, in a dark alleyway. Yeah, just take the candy corn, you'll be fine.
Did you kidnap him again? Dude, we don't have enough room in our basement for this.
Okay, look, don't worry about it.
So, I'm typically the one that reads the books. Aqua here typically does the audiobooks, but I have to say that the cover of this book is 10 out of 10. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's very retro. It has like a good vibe to it. I really enjoy the cover of this book, hands down. But now, this is going to be the first time that you guys have ever heard me say this, and we'll get into it, of course.
I can't wait.
This I DNF'd this book. It has 13 chapters. It's 100 and
I think it's like 121.
it's
I wanna say.
118 pages altogether. It has 13 chapters. I DNF'd it on chapter 10. So I personally did not finish this book. Now on the back,
I, however, did.
you know how it gives the whole synopsis? On the back, it does like, what are, like, you know, like the reader, like the raider thingies? It says an explosive, fast-paced slasher. There was nothing fast-paced about this book whatsoever.
I mean, all right, okay. It looks like we're gonna go ahead and go straight into this.
We're going straight in.
We're going straight in.
Now, first
Knife
of all,
in all the way.
yes. So, disclaimer. This is constructive criticism. This is no hate towards the author. If you loved this book, let us know down below why you liked it. Let us know your favorite part. If you hated this book, if you did not like it, let us also know the parts that you did not like. This is no hate towards the author, so don't get butthurt and don't get insensitive. But
Yes. Also, do keep in mind of any TOS, terms of service in terms of commenting. Thanks, guys.
you're gonna hear a lot of sniffling. I'm sorry. We are in a high allergy state.
Love it.
Also, every time I sniffle, she opens her mouth. It's fine. So, okay. So, this book, I'm gonna start off with saying I had high hopes for this book. In my personal opinion, when I heard 80s slasher, this is my fault for putting it on such a high pedestal, but when I heard 80s slasher, I was thinking Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer meets Stranger Things. That's what I thought we were going into, and that is just not the case. And it kind of like really let me down. And I read the first chapter and I was like, okay, you know what? This is kind of a vibe. And then like chapter 2 was like, oh, okay. Chapter 3 was like, oh my god. 4, 5, all the way to 10. It took me a week and a half to get from chapter 4 to chapter 10. A week and a half. Aqua and I have read 1,000-page books in a week, mind you.
Yeah.
So this was an absolute fucking struggle for me to read. And it wasn't even the fact that it was bad. It was just dry, bland, boring. I'm sorry. It was boring.
And it's kind of funny because when I got the book, well, when I finally got to read the book, I actually read it in one sitting. It took me maybe like mostly because I had to like actually read it through my computer screen because I was only able to get it through like the Kindle, and I don't have a Kindle. Had to move my mic for a second, and so I had to read it through my PC, on my display. So it was kind of hard to. So I switched between like my phone and the PC screen. And so I was just like, okay, I think the PC screen is a little bit easier because it made the words big. And me being dyslexic and hard to stare at something too small for too long, yeah, that's the hard. So I struggled a bit to read it. But there were some times where I had to like go back once or twice to reread,
Yeah.
There are some things about the structure of the book on how they'll word it because they'll go from like being... There's like 1 or 2 times, you probably don't know this part, but obviously, spoiler warning towards everyone who's, listening or watching this, about the book. There is a point in the book to where a bomb had went off in the mall, just a bomb.
Yes.
From the killer.
That is exactly where I'm at.
Okay. So at that part, there was a point where it went from she versus I, because normally we look through things through the eyes of Penny. But then it just suddenly went third person. And now I get the reason why I think they're trying to make it cinematic. I think that's what the author was trying to do. I could be wrong. Trying to make it cinematic, and it kind of confused me because like he, that it had to do with Faye or whatever, which I'm not gonna lie, Faye's a bitch. I digress.
I'm not gonna lie though. I mean, I didn't feel... No, like honestly, I didn't feel any connection towards any of the characters.
I'm actually kind of glad they did that because it makes sense of the trope that they went with. because when I was listening to some other like sources of information, other podcasts and things like that, most because I was just curious because they have the author there. Um, the author had mentioned about tropes and trying to do something a little bit different. And I can understand the trope and how tropes are very popular because it's what we know and love. We have, the slashers, which is a trope. With like your favorite, like Scream and Michael Myers, Friday the 13th, and things like that. And there's some more like horror psychological aspect of it too, as well, which I can see where this was coming from, especially at the end. Which I'll be honest, I kind of figured out things were going on and which trope was going for by like chapter 4 when the PL started to become more pronounced. And I was like, okay, this is going to be some sort of cult. They're going to be involved in the killings one way or another, in which they were. So they were in the killings of the teenagers and things like that, the kids. And then the whole thing during Penny's time was just an act of revenge from the Wolfman, the killer. Which I actually kind of like that aspect where the actual murderers were the cult people. And
which that is interesting.
Yeah, and this wolf guy is just a victim, because the teenagers are the ones that were dying. Although what I thought with the whole premise of it, like, I won't say it's stupid, but their motives are just to kill the children was dumb. Because I get that some of them may have like shoplifted or doing something else, because they're all worshiping a god of greed, a god of wealth.
Capitalism at its finest.
Yeah. And then I can see what this book was about, be political, about capitalism and consumerism. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with being a cult. It has to do with religion. It has nothing to do with capitalism. Killing them because they shoplifted. Oh my god, they stole one piece of clothing, maybe like $30 for a school uniform at most, results to you dying for it. What would have been smarter for about capitalism was enslaving them and forcing them to work. That would have made more sense, in my opinion. Killing them to appease a god, that's religion. That is not consumerism. That has nothing to do with it. I mean, sure, their want for it can, their greed, sure. The greed alone can astute towards capitalism. But with all that, it's just like, that's where I find kind of a blurred line, because the way how I interpreted it, the whole thing about capitalism and things like that and blah 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 is whatever. And the killer's motive for that being part of his motive for doing the killing was kind of dumb. But luckily for him, it was still, I mean by killer, I mean the Wolfman. And the Wolfman's main thing was to avenge his daughter, because his daughter had to steal because he couldn't afford a uniform for school.
Now, there was one part, I know this is completely left field of what you're saying, because you're saying something so serious, and, I appreciate your very serious tone right now, but...
It's gonna be silly, isn't it?
I'm gonna say this wrong, but there was at some point, they were describing something as a megawatt.
Yeah.
So when I read that, now, mind you, I was like, this sounds so bad because I really think she did a wonderful job. I do think Angela did an amazing job. I'm not shitting on her whatsoever. It is the pedestal that I personally put it on, because if you guys did not know, which you might, but like, I am a massive slasher fan. I'm a massive, like he said, Ghostface, Michael Myers. I mean, anyone, like Jason. I'm a massive slasher fan. So I put this on a pedestal, not knowing what to get myself into, and it just did not hold itself up to the great. That's not necessarily the writer's fault. That's more so my fault for kind of painting it into a picture that it wasn't gonna hold itself up to, or whatever. However you say that. Anyway, megawatt. So whenever I saw this, whenever I read this, literally the only thing that went through my mind was a megapint. Johnny Depp on trial.
Oh, wow. I did not make that connection. That's great. That's hilarious. I thought you were going something way different, but no, when you said left field, no, you were right. I did not go left hard enough. I thought it just had to do with the way that they were wording things. And I was like, I was gonna defend her on that one because I've heard people use megawatt as like a term back in the 80s because of family, because they've done that. And so I was be like, no, hold on, I unfortunately have to, defend that because that was a thing. Because I knew people from the 80s who did say that. But no, it was all about Johnny Depp.
A mega pint. Well, no, okay, so when I was reading this book, at this point, whenever that came up, my brain was an empty hole, an empty place, basically like just
And empty, no thoughts.
like I can't even like describe it because there's nothing there to describe. But it was just like the monkey with the cymbals just clapping.
Yeah.
But I really tried.
It reminds me of that GIF. What was it? Was it Patrick with the monkey symbol? GIF that
Yeah,
you sent earlier today on Discord? Yeah.
with the monkey symbol in his head. Yeah, the drool.
Laughing, yeah.
But no, so I guess we kind of like jumped all around. I guess,
Yeah.
for like a quick, not really synopsis, but like a quick like little thing. There are a bunch of children. I mean, I guess I say children. I mean, they're teenagers. There are a bunch of teenagers that have been going missing, and everyone basically chalks it up to, they didn't love you, they left, they ran away, they're bad
They
kids.
had some sort of They had some sort of thing going on between themselves, or well, actually, I don't know, towards their family. Something was going to happen no matter what.
Right, and they're basically just being disobedient and acting out and running away. But in actuality, there's been this serial killer going around, as Aqua has said, Wolfman. It's just a guy in a scary wolf mask. He's been going around murdering everyone. They end up going to the mall. I say they because quite literally everyone in the book works at the mall. They end up closing down. They end up doing like the naughty, let's go ahead and take some drinks and all of this, blah, 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 blah. Well, Penny unfortunately can't really hold down her liquor like that, so she ends up going to the bathroom to throw up, hears screaming, goes out, sees dead person. Well, not really dead at the time. He ends up dying in her arms, basically. But sees dead person, sees killer. They start running, and that's the entire book. They end up getting out to safety with police officers and then do the normal, generic fucking thing where they go back into the fucking mall. And I think whenever they went into the mall, I'm just going to be honest with you, I think that's where I DNF'd it, because as soon as I heard them go back into the mall, I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't even care who lives. I don't care who dies at this point. Like, why do that whole cliche? Like, I even wrote this in my notes. Like, it's so cliche. Like, I understand every slasher has we gotta go back for them. But like, bro, no, you fucking don't. Like, whoever's in there, let them fucking die. I'm gonna go take my sweet ass time in a shower. I'm gonna I'm gonna bring my happy little ass to bed. I am not going back in there. So I'm really sure that that's the point where I DNF'd it, because I was like, I can't. I started skimming through and I saw the part about like the first bomb going off, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. And I pretty much went and played video games the rest of the day to cleanse my brain hole of the bullshit I just read.
Yeah, I went ahead and read the whole book.
I tried. I really tried, Aqua. Like, oh my god, like I really tried. And like, I don't like DNFing books.
I know, you really hate that.
This is the third book I've ever DNF'd. And, we've read a lot of books before the podcast, which we're eventually going to come around and do episodes on them too. But, I don't DNF books because I spend the money on it, and I honestly know how hard it is to write something. So I want to put respect on authors' names, and having to DNF something like this just breaks my heart. But man, when I tell you, I literally could not, like, I physically could not read another word. Like, every time I would start reading, I would get a paragraph into it and my mind would wander. And like, I literally could not, like, it could not keep me entertained. And I feel so bad. So, if I were you, I would give it a shot. This book actually just came out, I would say, well, at this point, about a month ago. It came out September 24th, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's not
September
even a month
24th
old.
is release. Yeah.
Right. So it's not even a month old. I would go read it. I would give it a shot. Tell us what you think about it, honestly. I just think it's a very generic. I mean, I don't want to say the word generic, but it is. It's kids, slasher, kids leave, kids go back, wannabe hero, plot twist that you
Yeah.
guess on fucking chapter 2. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Do you want me to go ahead and give you the ending?
That's fine.
All right. Well, as a disclaimer, and we have violence here to show you that there's spoilers ahead. So pretty much, I did kind of, like I said, more or less guess the ending, or at least what was going to happen. The trope, cult, has to do with the cult. Probably one's responsible for the murder. Turns out they were. Wolfman, the second one, is just an extra. Well, I'd say extra, but extra as in the extra killer, because he's just going to get revenge against the ones who actually murdered because he find out all the details. Now, again, they're in some sort of cult. And practically everyone who is associated with the mall.
Which, okay,
is in
first
that
of all,
cult.
I didn't even understand the cult. The cult makes no fucking sense to me. Like, the cult literally makes no fucking sense. It doesn't, like,
Yeah,
none of them are
it's a
connected in any way, shape, or form. I mean, maybe the author has them connected technically, but none of them are, like, unless she doesn't come out and say it, like, none of them are actually connected. It's just basically, since it's a small town, their parents work in the town some way or another, and their children get inducted into this cult whenever they're 17. First of all, why the fuck is it 17? Whatever. I digress.
Well, it actually did explain some of that towards the end. So for the majority of them, like, they were going through hard times, and it turns out Penny's dad is the archdeacon, meaning he is the head of this cult.
I mean, I guessed that.
Yeah, he founded, well, I wouldn't say founded the cult, but he started the cult, or, has found the cult, and got people involved. So, like, Yelena's family, was in through rough time. They needed money. He indoctrinated them into the cult. Their life got better, things like that, yada yada. Some of the other parents had similar situations. With Dirk, same thing. His dad was the original killer of all the kids. Well, one of them, at least. The other ones were perfectly fine. Dirk and Faye were definitely happy murderers. They have killed so many of the kids, and they had no problems with it whatsoever. In fact, Penny was showing some resistance, did not want to be a part of it, because he saw them just as like monsters. And there were some points to where she almost wanted to have that other Wolfman killed, because people like Jake was an outsider. He had no idea what is actually going on, and he got killed during trying to save Penny right after that first bomb went off. And so, but that's also when they found out, they unmasked the Wolfman, and turns out that the Wolfman, the second one, was actually one of the victims' father, who was killed by the cult because she shoplifted a uniform, and results into death, because it's stealing from their temple, which is the actual mall. The mall is their temple. They didn't exactly explain that. They just said the temple, which can make it seem like it's underground or no, but no, it is the entire mall that is the temple. And so, and what's funny is because they were saying that malls were dying, which makes sense for current time, but this is supposed to be set in the 80s. So that's also what threw me off too.
Right.
So, but then again, it's also in a fictional town in wherever, Georgia.
Well, no, and that's what I was thinking too, because they mentioned a lot of things in the 80s, and I understand, like, yeah, it's the 80s, but every once in a while, the author would say something, and it would kind of, like, snap into modern time, and then immediately go back.
Yeah.
And it was very weird.
Yeah. So I get that it was supposed to be 80s themed, but they made everything 80s themed except for certain topics, which was strictly modern.
And then kind of like what you said too as well, because like the switch in how we read, versus like first person, third person. That shit just like really, I don't understand why that happened because that confused me. But then again, I don't really like the she, he, they. I don't like that. I like the eyes, you know?
Yeah, to know who exactly perspective you're looking from versus just going straight third person to where it's like a cinematic view, where it's like you're getting a bird's eye
Exactly.
view. I mean, I get that. Maybe in certain things it could work, but if you're trying to do fast paced, I don't think that's the best idea. Because if you're
Exactly.
thinking fast paced, you're thinking first person view.
Exactly.
Usually, at least that's my expectation for it. But then again, I don't know too much. But when I think of it, and even in movies, sure, we see things in third person view, but we're focused on one person. Or if it's action, we're focused on the action than anything else.
Which that's the thing too, because with you having three female main characters, you have Penny, Faye, and
Yelena.
Yelena. When you keep saying she, I understand 99.9% of it is always going to be Penny, but with how some of the paragraphs were structured, there's no telling who she is.
Yeah,
I
because for a
mean,
while, like that bomb part, I thought it was Yelena was
right,
was in the mix, but no, she wasn't yet.
right. So, and then there's some, right, that's exactly like some of the times I thought it was like maybe Faye talking, but it was Penny the entire time. Or we were
Mhm.
looking at everything through Faye's eyes, but it was Penny the entire time. So I don't personally think this
Yeah.
book here worked in third person. I think this one would have been a better read if it was all in first person from mainly Penny.
Yeah.
I didn't think that worked out at all, personally.
Yeah, if they were gonna switch from different perspective, then they should have switched it to it being someone else, and
Right.
then go from there. Establish it that it's someone else. Go from there, do their bit, and then back to the MC, the
Right. And
main or
then
the MMC, I would say, the
and
main character.
I mean, going off of that too, they could have easily done. I typically always say icebreaker, but it's like icebreaker. It's like the Kings of Sin series, where they could have had like Penny as a chapter, with the eyes, and then they could have had like Faye as chapter 2 or something with the she's or whatever, or even with just first person. Like if you would have actually like broken up the characters, having each chapter a different POV, that would have probably made it a lot easier to follow the storyline rather than having all of these people, like 6 or 7 people running around, never knowing who's talking or what's going on, who's with who. It was just a very, very complicated story to follow.
Yeah, that's in terms of structure. That's pretty much my gripe about it too. Was that because there were like 1 or 2 times where I had to reread it, and sometimes my because of a little bit of dyslexia, but no, it was just more just figuring out who's speaking, who's saying what, who's the main focus at this moment,
Right.
sort of thing.
I
And
agree
so yeah,
completely.
but yeah, but to finish the ending, pretty much, um, basically did not want to do it, end up aiding the killer, defying everyone basically, but doing a little little sleight of hand by pretending to be with the group, for the most part. Did find out that it is very cultish, it's a religion sort of thing for Plutus or whatever. Um,
That's what I thought it was too,
tried to,
Plutus.
yeah, and she was also trying to get Yelena to be on her side because, when Penny was struggling, you know, Yelena was in her side, and she was on her side when Yelena was suffering through, self-attempted, seppuku. Um, but that's more of like their history, for the most part. But basically, all in all, end up aiding the killer, taking the detonator. Pretty much, her dad, Penny's dad, was the one who killed her mom. Murdered his own wife because she did not want to be part of this cult, and killed her.
Fantastic.
hmm So I was like, okay, that part I didn't see. I didn't suspect. I thought that was the motivation for him to turn to that cult, but no. It turns out, no, she was just another victim of the cult,
What a
and
fucked
he
up
was trying
family.
to, trying to indoctrinate her. She was like, no, I don't want this. I don't need this. This is stupid. And commits murder. Well, tough noodles, and then tries to get the daughter involved. and he's sick and twisted, just like all of them. Faye and Dirk were just little demons at that, pretty much. And so basically, she goes to the fountain where her ancestor, her great grandfather was, detonates the bomb. She ended up getting shot by like her dad, I think, or by the officer, because the officers were also involved, except for one of them, Officer Bradley. He turns out that he was more or less new. He was trying to be a good Samaritan, uphold justice, being a traitor, leaking information, which is why Agnes's father knew anything in the first place, and why he attempted this whole thing in the first place. And so, ends up getting shot and killed for doing the right humane thing. But she ended up detonating it. She gets shot. She becomes the only survivor. And at the very end, she says she survives because the explosion and all of that, she was shielded by her great grandfather's statue or whatever. And it turns out, she came out with her little PL necklace or bracelet, whatever it is, and the doctor that was there to nurse her back to health turns out to be also part of the cult, but has no idea that she was the one who blew it up because she was the only survivor. So
I just rolled my eyes there, and I'm gonna be that person. Of fucking course, the main character is the only sole survivor. Oh my god. Like,
well, to be fair, it was a ton of C4 explosives, given that they were plastic explosive and looking like clay. I'm not gonna lie, shit's potent, but then again, she did get shielded by debris, which, yeah, that is the cliche part, so yeah, I do get that. Sorry, that was my gun nerd coming out of me for a moment. Like a chest burster from Aliens.
Well, I just completely
Yeah.
rolled my eyes.
So that was the ending that you so missed and everything like that.
Which I am actually grateful I missed. But
yeah.
I guess kind of honorable mention. At the beginning, we do have a very, 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 very faint mention of possibly LGBTQ.
Oh yeah, Penny.
Yeah, but it was so faint, to the point where, was that even necessary?
To be honest, I kind of didn't even realize that it was until, again, given the whole thing of like the way that they were like talking about like the sentence structure that we were talking about, how we weren't sure which is what. For some reason, I think maybe it's just me being dumb, but it took me a while to realize that when they meant girlfriend, I thought they meant term as like a friend, like a bestie.
Well, because also in the 80s too, that's what you used to call like your friends,
Exactly.
like girlfriend, boyfriend, stuff like that.
Yeah, your bestie. You would call them, or at least girls will always say, it's like, hey, girlfriend.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go to the store with my girlfriend, But the thing is, like, with it being such minimal information, like, was it actually necessary? Because at this point, I mean, I believe the term, I don't know, terms change all the time, but the term like a year ago was gay fishing, just to try and get extra profit off of whatever movie, book, whatever you're doing. And I feel like that's kind of what that was, because with how minimal information you get, you literally just breeze right past it like it's nothing, and I don't really think that information was necessary.
Yeah, it did bring it up like again, just to show that it was her first major relationship, but it did emphasize the fact that it was a girl. Like, if it didn't have that part and was just fluid to where my past major relationship was with so and so with B, then that would have been fine. It would seem less like gay fishing.
Exactly. So I don't personally, I think that's one of the only other like red flags for me, because I feel like if you really wanted to go ahead and make a book about this, nowadays kind of sensitive topic, you should have, in my personal opinion, it should have been more apparent and more open, rather than something that you want to, okay, I need to get this out and then we're not going to talk about it ever again. Like, I just don't feel like there was sincerity behind it, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents.
At least the way how it was written just seemed like a gay fishing. Just the way how it was
Exactly.
written. Yeah.
Exactly.
Whether it was intentional or not, obviously I'm sure no author would ever say, yeah, I was fishing, you know? But I mean, if you're trying to do that, you might want to work on the wording and not being so seem like you're trying to be obvious or like pretend to be oblivious sort of thing, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Because it's kind of like in this specific day and age, I think, I mean, if you're not a part of the woke scene, of course you get shit on, but it's even worse if you pretend to be a part of the woke scene. Not saying that's what this author is doing, not saying anything bad about the author. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what it seems that I'll get more
Yeah.
publicity. God,
There
I'll
you
get
go.
more publicity if I squeeze this in my book and then people will love me. I I think by doing something and breezing over it like that, I think that's actually doing more harm for you personally. I feel like it would have been a lot
Yeah.
easier to just completely leave it out rather than to put it in, not shed any light on it, and then just call it a day.
Yeah, I mean they did shed light, but if they
Very
were trying to
minimal.
make that to where it's a point to where it's impactful, then unfortunately in short books it doesn't really help that way unless it's like the main issue.
Right,
Which for her it really wasn't. The whole main issue was the whole cult thing and having to deal with that,
right.
you know. And it did, and what it did give, or at least to give it some stock, was that the only stock is that when she needed somebody because it was a major breakup for her, was their connection with Elena. Well, they still had a pretty good connection with each other. You know, sure she was there for her during the breakup. Yeah, I get that. But then it's also overshadowed by the fact that that she was there for her, when Elena was like in the hospital because of self-attempted seppuku.
Yeah.
This just like we said, this is not to we're not like here saying that's what the author was doing. This is just from what if
This is how we
people
perceived
didn't
it.
do- it's just how it's perceived, exactly, or at least how we perceive it, if that makes sense. Again,
But
not attacking the author. We're just saying how it can be perceived and how it was perceived.
right.
It's just there to flaunt itself, to show its flag and unity, or whatever sort of thing.
Yeah.
But again, that's just our opinion. Some people may see it and be like, no, this is perfectly fine. There wasn't this, it wasn't that. It's like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Which, typically we do this kind of at the end. I'm assuming we're kind of wrapping up because I mean, I personally have nothing else, which if you have more, by all means. I am curious
mean-
on what you rated this book.
I rated this, I'd say a 3. I give it a 3.
I am giving it a hard 2.
A hard 2.
Giving it a hard 2, and I don't think that's because I DNF'd it, because I feel like even after hearing you explain the ending, like I physically cringed and literally rolled my eyes, and I mean, you know me, when have I ever done that in a book?
Yeah.
So this book personally wasn't for me. I feel bad because, I'm trying my best to be as unbiased as possible. It wasn't for me. And if anyone, wants to read it, I say go read it. But
Yeah, always look, all because we may not like it doesn't mean that you won't, you know. Um it just ain't for some people.
yeah.
And some books are, some books aren't, you know.
And
It's
I
just
say this all the
just
time
us.
with books. I literally say this all the time. Those who get it, get it. Those who don't. I didn't get it. So
Yeah.
this book has a lot of, I mean, eventually too, I mean, like I said, it just came out about a month ago. So this book is going to have a lot of like enjoyers. So those who get it, get it. Those who don't, unfortunately, that was me. I don't get it. And that's okay.
Yeah, perfectly fine. But I did learn some fun facts though. Apparently, this version of Killing Spree is actually I wouldn't say like an update or readaptation of an original version of this book, And this version of the book that we read has more content and slightly different details than the first one.
This has more content?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Oh, God.
And yeah. So, but yeah. Like the first part where the kid had died in the very beginning, the boy, was not in the original.
I'm gonna be a good girl and I'm gonna not speak my mind.
we're gonna quell those killer instincts for now.
I am not going to speak my mind.
Look, violence is over here. I'm always gonna call my little pet violence because I like that. And violence is gonna be over here, just gonna take that little butcher knife you have and just scurry away with it. We're just
also, if you guys have not seen our other videos, if you're brand new here, hello.
Hello.
So if you are brand new here, if you can tell us in the comments where we picked Violet. Well, I call her Violet. He calls her Violence. If you can tell us where her name came from, you're like VIP.
Oh yes.
Like bestie status. So let us know.
Mm-hmm. So you figure it out. I think I've actually spoiled it from where it was from at one of the videos. So who knows? You might have to backtrack to all the podcasts and see if you can find out. I won't tell you where because it may have been during this series. You know, our spoopy series. Could have been before. You won't know until you look through all the videos. So.
But yeah, so next week is I have hiccups. Oh God. Do I get hiccups every podcast?
So far you have during the spoopy season. During the spoopy season, you have actually. I wonder if there's something going on.
Ooh.
Maybe it's a body snatchers deal. I'm gonna go over your house.
But you know, with Halloween being next week, we have one final. It's not even really a spoopy book, if I'm being honest with you, because now we are going into the fall season. We're basically going to have, you know, fun. Basically, do what we're doing for November and December, getting ready for Christmas,
or
even Hanukkah. If you play.
If you play with the Hanukkahs, then there you go. I like to play with some Hanukkah, if you know what I'm saying.
But yeah,
But
so
no,
we have one more book left of our spoopy season. Not even spoopy, but you know what? I am really looking forward to it. And, you know, hey, maybe next week, there will be a slight surprise.
Yeah, so pay attention to details, folks. Details. It's all in the details.
We're gonna have someone being like, I looked at every corner. This leaf did not move that same way last episode.
Good. That's the type of details we're looking for. Because who knows? You may miss something. You never know.
Spoiler
find
alert.
all the clues. You might find all the clues, and you might get a little prize that we may or may not have for you guys. So.
Spoiler alert, the leaves are copy and pasted.
You're not supposed to keep telling them. Oh my god. Great. Now I gotta think of something else. I'm gonna find a barrel to put over violence or something.
Oh my
Thanks
god.
a lot. I just cropped at all the leaves. Now what I'm gonna do with all these leaves?
Oh, it is fine.
I'm just gonna toss them outside, and you just see PNGs just flying around Texas. Oh man.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, I personally think that's it. I mean, this is a very short book. It was something I'm never gonna forget.
I kind of figured you would forget about the book if you never finished it. I mean, I won't because I have it in my library. So
well, if you want the physical copy,
I'm good. I got the e-copy. I think I'm fine.
But yeah. So, as always, I'm Elvish. So hello.
And I'm Aqua. And good night.
Man, one day I'm gonna really fuck with people and be like, "Hi, I'm Aqua."
And I'm Elvish.
They're gonna be like, "Wait, hold up."
Hold up. Wait a minute.
In our banner, it clearly says which one we are, so they're gonna go back and look at that, and be like, "Okay, who's lying now?"
No, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is wrong. You guys picked up the script."
Oh
That's
my
exactly
god.
what they're gonna do.
Could you imagine if we actually had a script? Man, I would
Oh,
be
this would be
going
so
off
much
of it.
worse.
Oh my god. My ADHD would
I
be like having a field day.
I know, we would get nothing done in the script. I'm
We would
surprised
get
that you
no.
still kept. Well, actually, no, I'm not surprised because you still go off your notes sometimes, and then you go way off on a tangent. So, if
And you
anyone's on the
know,
script, it's more you than me.
like with that being said too, you're right. I typically do write notes. My only note said a megapint.
Oh my god,
That's
that is the
literally my
shortest
only
note you've
notes.
had. Oh my
Those are my only notes this week. Just a megapint.
god, megabytes.
Oh my
That's
god.
great.
But yeah.
We
Anyway,
have fun here.
this is Night Court Narrative, and we have one more spoopy day. We will see you guys on Halloween.
Oh yeah, and don't forget, guys, we're also streamers, by the way. We are content creators, so definitely follow us on our Twitch channels.
Man, you're just giving me extra editing now.
Yes, I mean, darn.
Oh,
Hey, look, we gotta have the shameless plugs here. If we're talking about the cliches, we're gonna do it right. God damn it.
well, I personally stream almost every single day but Thursdays. Aqua streams whenever he gets that wild hair up his ass. It just magically grows and he doesn't pull it out until after he streams.
Exactly. It has to get full grown first.
Okay.
What? It's true.
And as
Anyway.
always, if you ever have to answer a question, answer it like Aqua. Aqua.
Oh man, that's gonna be like that's at that point, just make that my intro. Just a random or bodily noise.
People are gonna wonder what the fuck is wrong with you, and it's like I've been wondering that for like 20 years.
It's like attention, Night Court Narrative's views have dropped due to bodily fluid signs or sounds. At the very beginning of each video.
People just
Content.
immediately like click off the video like no thanks.
Viewers have been suffering dysentery because of it. I need to work on my announcer voice. I'm gonna work on voices in general. I think
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Have a good night. Stay hydrated. Love you.